know what happens when the full moon rises into the night sky, Eric?
Is that a CCR song?
No, that's when the bad moon rises. Sometimes
Is the
that's
full
a little
moon
bit
bad?
different. Well, sometimes it can be. It can be pretty bad depending on who the person is. But you know, did you ever
Who's
hear?
it bad for?
Well, did you ever hear growing up? Well, I was gonna kind of segue. In real life, I've heard that medical professionals believe that full moons bring out more accidents and more craziness. Do you believe that that's true?
That's an interesting thing. Like, because I have my share of, I don't know, is hippie a derogatory term, or is that still a friendly term?
I mean,
Like,
I think they call themselves hippies.
Okay. Well,
Right.
like that on that spectrum of like the forward-thinking, progressive people, nature friendly, like those friends. I think the more insulting thing would be granola. Isn't that like what people call them? That's kind of mean. Anyway, I have my share of friends who are in that realm, and they pointed out something to me that I thought was interesting, because the moon scientifically affects like tides and water and nature and like this rhythms of bugs and stuff. Like we've measured like the moon's effect on all that, right? That's science. Am I right in that?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I needed your affirmation. But they were saying, like, we believe that it affects the ocean and tides and stuff, but our body's like 80% water. Why do we not think it affects us and our moods? And I thought, I don't know how scientific that is, but I thought that was like an interesting point, at least. Like, we're made up of the same stuff that this moon affects. Like, why wouldn't people get a little weird, or like our moods and stuff be affected
Topsy-turvy.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's probably fairly logical. I mean, when you put it that way, like, yeah, because it affects like things like the tides, that surely like the pressure in our body would also change, and everyone deals with everything differently, right?
Yeah.
Like, weather ruins my life most of the days. Like, if it's super hot and muggy outside, I'm grumpy.
Yeah, me too.
If it's
Like,
Florida
only
outside,
humidity.
I'm mad.
Yeah. Like, heat, I'm fine. Cold, I'm fine. When the air feels like it's giving me a bear hug, I hate it. Stupid.
Well, today on the Nightmare Hour podcast, if you didn't guess it, we're going to tell you what it is. We're going to talk the hairy beasts. We're going to talk about werewolves. We're going to talk about lycanthropes or lycanthropes.
I think Google says lycanthropy.
Lycanthropy, lycanthropy, lycanthropy. There's a lot of different pronunciations for it, but they all mean the same. Actually, I don't actually know what is it just what I think it is? Is
Lycan's like Greek or Latin for wolf, I think. Yeah. So is it like the study of wolves?
It is
like
a form of madness involving the delusion of being an animal, usually a wolf, with correspondingly altered behavior. That's what lycanthropy or lycanthropy, that's what that is. But I would imagine lycanthrope is just the person, right?
Yeah. It comes from leukos, wolf, and anthropos, man, in Greek.
Wolf man. Or wolf woman.
Universal got it right.
Yeah, that is true. They stumbled right into that. So we're going to talk about that today. We have a whole mess. So this is our new format. Our new format is going to be a little bit all over the place. And it's
wait. I know they can't see this, but you have a werewolf behind you.
I do. I do have a werewolf behind me, just standing there. So part of this new format is we're being a little more casual. We're trying to give a little bit more diversity in our topics rather than fill a whole hour with one, which, truth be told, here's the thing. We are kind of indecisive people, and like we talk a lot about what we want to do, and then it's finding times to watch movies at the same time or in the same relative space, which should be easy because we both watch stuff all the time. But sometimes it's like you're watching other things for other reasons, and you got to slide this in, and that's tough. And then when we were doing the old format, we had to fill an hour. We would also have to do a pretty good amount of research beforehand. So it's like, listen, we don't want to do the work, is what I'm saying. And so we're streamlining things to better suit our abilities to produce these at least on a bi-weekly basis.
I think we're kind of doing the opposite of streamlining. We're just making it. I guess we're making it easy for us, but there's no line. There's no straight line anymore. We're not gonna be like, today we're talking about this werewolf movie. Like we're gonna talk about news. We're gonna talk about humidity and tides, and we're gonna talk about like movies, and we're gonna talk about feuds that you'll see what we're talking about here. We're just going all over the place, so because it's easier for us, and there's a lot less research involved, and hopefully it's still fun for you out there. Maybe.
Correct. Everything you said is correct. And so, so welcome.
Hi.
To the Nightmare Hour podcast. Today, it's gonna get hairy. But first things first, we're gonna on our icebreakers, which is I think what we just did actually. We'll just say that's our icebreakers. We're gonna now kind of chat about what's happening in the movie area and the movie news, and both of us chat about this last night. Well, there's a couple things I'll also bring up that are exciting for me, but the main topic is going to be the Halloween Kills trailer.
Yeah. So should I play it? Is that what we're doing? Is that what we talked about?
Let's play it.
Okay.
My grandmother was right. The boogeyman was real.
It's over.
We can't hurt anyone ever again.
No one told you.
Told me what?
Somebody in there?
Michael Myers is alive.
Stop! You had a knife in your stomach.
You and Allison should not have to keep running. Evil dies tonight.
I'm not just gonna sit and watch another innocent person die.
If you track Michael's victims, that's a straight line to Michael's childhood home.
What do we do?
We fight.
Let's hunt him down.
Michael Myers is flesh and blood. But a man couldn't have survived that fire. The more he kills, the more he transcends.
Run! Go home now!
He's the essence of evil.
Do it! Do it! You want your mask? Come and get it!
I'm coming for you, Michael.
Alrighty then. Goodness.
That is the Halloween Kills trailer. So there's a whole lot to unpack here, Eric.
There is, but I will start with two things. One, I'm way more into it now because this setup that I'm here, I have a big giant monitor and it looked amazing. Last night I watched it on my phone because that's what everyone does because that's all we have around us. So, wow, on a big screen, wow. It looks way more. I'm way more excited than I was when I saw it on my little iPhone 12 here. Two, this is the grumpiest Michael Myers I think we've ever seen. Like he's done. Like he's done with the nonsense. Like he just
he's on a he's on a full rampage. So it takes place immediately after. So it's interesting because if we're following the current chronological order, we have the original Halloween. And then we have Halloween 2018, right? So we have 78 and 2018,
don't forget
right?
Halloween 2.
Well, Halloween
like
2 though doesn't exist in the new universe.
Really? Well, then Halloween 3 has to exist in this universe, right? I guess that's a separate story, though, since they used the masks.
I think that's just like they did. Well, it was in Halloween, the new Halloween 2 as well. Remember?
No, I turned that one off.
Kids on Halloween night, so they walk by. Oh no, not Rob Zombies. I'm talking about the 2018.
Oh, okay. No, I don't remember that. I didn't notice that.
They were like kids on the street running around in the 2018 film. So I'm guessing those are the same kids that now are dead. We see in the trailer. So we have the original 78 film. We have the 2018 film. And then now we have a direct sequel to that. So this is, I guess, the third in the series, which will eventually be 4 films, right? Because what is the Halloween Ends is the last one, right?
Yeah.
And so what's interesting though is because they erased number 2, they're kind of doing a little bit of number 2 here.
Yeah, that's why I thought it was part of, because I thought they were doing the parallels, because it is like continuing the same night idea, and a lot of it seems to be taking place in the hospital. So
now it puts in perspective. Well, it does look like multiple. I was gonna say. Now I'm like, am I making up things in the trailer? Did I see daylight at any point? I don't know. Was it all at night?
I think it was all night. It looked like it was almost real time-ish, like that evening of. I don't remember seeing daylight.
So that could be crazy if like Halloween 2018, Halloween Kills and Ends are all one 24-hour period.
Yeah, I could see it.
That would be kind of fascinating, and maybe what they're gonna do. But I do like. Oh wait, no. Well, I do like how just like furious he is. Like she tried to kill him, and almost succeeded. Would have succeeded if it wasn't for those damn firefighters
who
were just
which
waiting
the
to come
beginning
out
is
into
very
those woods.
Yeah, like it was. I don't know why, but the beginning just made me think it was like a backdraft crossover. Like a Baldwin had to show up at some point, or Kurt Russell.
I want that. I want that hybrid movie that you just created in your own head. Very funny. So we know Michael's going to survive, obviously, but he's on a fucking rampage. We go to the hospital where they're trying to be treated. What I like here is that some people don't seem to know that what happened. Like Lori doesn't know that he was saved. Presumably, she's just still like, well, I guess I'm just.
We're gonna be fine. Yeah, she said something like that. You can't hurt anyone anymore, or something. She says something like that in the trailer, which is the last thing you should say about a slasher in a horror film. It's never gonna be true.
And I think this movie has. So there was, some people didn't love the 2018, or they liked it, didn't love it. I did really enjoy it. I think it's a good entryway back into it. That movie was very similar to me as like. The Force Awakens, where it's like, okay, we're kind of fixing the mythology a little bit. We're bringing it back and trying to do a direct sequel. Yeah. We're bringing the aesthetic back. John Carpenter's back. The score's back, but it's new and the original cast. So in a lot of ways, like the first film was like correcting so much stuff, and like that it could only do so much new stuff. And I think that's probably the biggest problems is like we wanted more exploration. I think especially of her daughter and granddaughter. I think those are great. They planted great seeds there, and I hope that they're able to explore them more in this film.
Yeah, I agree. The only thing that still worries me is like that line about like every time he kills, he transcends or something. Like I just hope they don't fall into that like Michael, like the what was the cult of I can't remember of the later Halloween movies where they start explaining what he is and all of that.
Okay, but I don't love it, but I do like how off the rails that does go. I'm not gonna lie. Like Halloween 6, it just ends with that's the Curse of Michael Myers, right? Yeah, Curse of Michael Myers. That's the one that just has the batshit fucking ending.
Like with the clones.
And there's like druids, right? At the end, they show up and like they plant seeds that don't ever get like because they never made a sequel to it. But yeah, I mean, I don't think that's what they're going to do here. I do think that they know that answering what makes him, no answers is the answer.
Yeah,
to scary Michael Myers.
I hope it's not just like powering up every time he kills someone and he starts like roiding out or something. That scares me. But we'll see.
They may have like an offhanded explanation, right? But I don't think they'll have a real one. I even like how visually this one feels like more. Like it feels kind of like anarchy.
Yeah,
like it feels like insane.
It got like it has like a little John Wick in there too. Like Michael Myers goes full John Wick in this. Like someone killed Michael Myers' dog, and he's pissed.
Well, presumably his mask comes off, and we maybe are going to see his face.
Yeah, I mean, probably. We've seen it before though, but like for seconds.
That's true. I'm pretty excited. I like the ending where of the trailer where like the granddaughter is seemingly like confronting him, and there's like with like a bunch of her friends or younger people at least. I think that's interesting that like people are always running from him. No, not very many people besides law enforcement are ever taking a stand, and I think that could be very interesting and something we haven't seen from a Halloween franchise.
Yeah, I'm excited. I have some worries, but I'm not gonna let that bother me. They're all nitpicky. I'm just excited.
What did? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's just like to me, like this Candyman trailer, all that stuff. It's just really kind of brings into focus what we've been missing the last year. Like everything that got postponed due to COVID, that's like all dropping now, and it's just like these wonderful presents for horror fans everywhere that we had to do without for a year. And it almost makes it feel more exciting, I think, because you're just like, oh god, it's all happening. Yeah.
I agree, and it is worth noting that John Carpenter, when asked about this movie last year, he said it's brilliant, it's the ultimate slasher. I mean, there's nothing more than this one. Wow, man. And then he says it's the quintessential slasher. It's so intense. Oh my god, it even stuns me how incredible it is.
Yeah, that's what I remember that quote. I got really excited.
That's
and now that I see
cool.
the trailer, I can see what he's talking about, because this is like just Michael Myers is raging. Like it's amplified so much compared to what we've seen before.
Well, and I loved his 2018 score, but the couple new beats we get in just this trailer makes me incredibly excited for at least another Carpenter Halloween score.
I love the strings like take on it, like the cello and stuff, like and how it's moving different. Yeah,
very excited.
That was my favorite part about the last Halloween. Honestly, was his score, because I loved parts of it and I hated parts of it. It was like the best and worst of Halloween to me in like one movie, but mostly I loved it. It was just some of the stuff just bothered me. But that's a discussion for another day.
Yeah,
but I'm excited.
Probably in October when we lead up to. We'll probably do that. I love an excuse to watch all the Halloween films again. I actually, even when they're like kind of shitty, I like more of them than I don't. And I realized that 2 years ago when I did my rewatch as an adult. I actually was shocked how much fun most of them are. There's two of them I don't really like, but that's pretty good numbers.
I haven't seen some.
Those are the Rob Zombie ones.
Oh yeah, those are
they're just not fun to me, and they don't offer anything really interesting.
Yeah, I hated the first one so much, and the second one I started and never finished because I was too angry at everything. I should probably go back now that I'm a calmer person and not so.
Second one at least has some like unique stuff he tries to do. It just doesn't really cohesively make sense. All right, but we'll revisit that in October when Halloween Kills comes out. The only other piece of news I'm going to drop here so we can get into our main segment, because we love talking Halloween. We could have done a whole podcast on the trailer. Is that AMC Networks purchased all the film rights for the Vampire Chronicles and the Lives of Mayfair Witches, and are bringing that to series in a new version of Interview with the Vampire.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah. And it's being created by and showrun by Roland Jones, who I know from Friday Night Lights, which is a terrific show.
I've never done the show.
It's great.
Okay.
I'm going to see what else. Oh, they did Weeds.
Never seen it.
They did a bunch of stuff. They did the Exorcist TV show. Actually, pretty much.
Yeah, that wasn't bad.
I liked it.
The first season wasn't bad. Second season gets a little rough.
Yeah. It looks like they only did the first season. So they did the first season. They also did Boardwalk Empire. They've done some good stuff. Okay. Yeah. They've done a lot of producing and writing on a lot of shows. So
you're saying we should be excited? Tentatively excited?
Tentatively excited. I think yes. Is you're correct.
Okay.
Let's do it. Okay. that was a good lead-in because that's a series mostly about vampires and vampirism, which we've talked a little bit about. But this past week
was
a full moon.
Was it? Is that why I went crazy?
This one you went crazy and you were in the hospital.
Oh, okay.
Well, here's the thing about werewolves. I don't know a whole lot, so I have some notes here. I'm going to be throwing you some information, and just stop me whenever you want to chat.
I was the popular kid who used to like check out books from the library about werewolves and vampires when I was young because I was really cool. So I know a bit. So I'll stop you if you're wrong.
Well, so because we're on the subject of it, vampires and werewolves are enemies for life, and I've never really questioned as to why. Before that's a teaser for a later segment when I'm gonna go full in-depth explanation as to what the hell and why the hell it is. So the oldest reference to a man turning into a wolf or a werewolf or lycanthropy is the Epic of Gilgamesh.
Yeah, did you pronounce that right, or is it Gilgamesh?
I always thought it was Gilgamesh. I don't know. Maybe it's not. Which is the oldest known Western prose. He is a jilted lover because Gilgamesh jilted a potential lover because she had turned her previous mate into a wolf.
That's fair. That's a fair jilting reason.
Yeah, and then of course you go into the Greek mythology, which is where you get Lycon, right? Is that how it is?
Sure.
Okay, Lycon sounds right, which is
the
sun.
Yeah, because you're putting the emphasis on it, so it sounds you're really selling it. Lycon.
Well, they angered Zeus, as everybody does in Greek mythology, and he served Zeus a meal from the remains of a sacrificed boy, and then Zeus turned Lycon into son of. And his sons into wolves. He basically was like, you and your family, all wolves. And maybe that's where the pack of werewolves comes from.
But if you're mad at someone, why would you turn him into like a kick-ass animal, like a wolf?
Yeah, turn him into snails. Come on.
Yeah, exactly.
Or ants or something that'll have a
or
very
grub.
Short... and then, of course...
Here, be this majestic creature. I'm angry at you. Doesn't make sense.
He has... Oh, dang it. What a punishment. Well, so those two early ones, though, it's different than how we will eventually know werewolves, which is, only turning at select times of the, month, basically. In Nordic folklore, the saga of Volsunds tells the story of a father and a son who discovered wolf pelts that had the power to turn people into wolves for 10 days. They donned the pelts, transformed into wolves, and went on a killing rampage in the forest. The rampage ended when the father attacked his son, causing a lethal wound. The son only survived because a kind raven, as always happens, of course, gave the father a leaf with magical healing powers. That story was pretty on one road, and then at the end it became a totally different show. Yeah.
There's no kind ravens. What? They're just assholes.
I've never met a raven that was helpful.
No, I've never met a kind.
Helpful crows, helpful crows, not ravens though.
No, they're just nevermore. That's all they do, all the time.
And then we have. Well, I'll skip that in case that becomes one of your stories. But I don't. And then there's shapeshifters, of course, which some people claim are the same species, basically, or could be the same cause because they're humans turning into other beasts. So I don't know if I want to talk about that. I'm just scared. I don't want to step on your toes later on.
I'll step all over my toes.
I can't find anything specifically about why it became full moons.
Probably what we just discussed. It affects us. It affects nature. Maybe they just noticed that.
Yeah, I guess.
That's our version. That's what we're going to go with.
I'm gonna look it up. What? But yeah. So I mean, those are kind of a normal route, I guess. Is kind of it's logical that somebody would get turned into a wolf in a story, and then we would evolve that into modern day Western old tales, which I'm sure is gonna.
Well, yeah, and a lot of that's just very very recent. Hollywood like silver and all that stuff is pretty recent, right? Like that wasn't a thing, or is it?
This like silver bullets.
Yeah, like I think that's more of a Hollywood thing.
I think that is a Hollywood thing.
Yeah. So like a lot of this is just made. That's the really weird thing about this is there's no reliable source since it's all made up.
So I guess
the rules are whatever we want them to be.
So
Adam.
I guess what I'm reading is that the werewolf myth of only turning at full moons is that there was a belief that real wolves only howled at full moons, but not at any other types of moons.
Yeah.
Of course, that's false.
Yeah, they howl, talk to each other, right? They're just like, "What up?"
Yeah,
like that. That's what, man. People just making up stuff.
Yeah.
What about vampires? Are they similar background? Or?
Well, we did a pretty good in depth on our Dracula episode about.
Yeah,
at least
true, but I don't remember.
We didn't go into. And I'm not going to go into it right here because you put me on the spot. I did some werewolf research. I did not go heavy into the vampire because, vampires. We will go into a vampire segment, but this is also saying that now more cultures say that instead of people actually turning into werewolves, that they act like wolves instead. They go mad and crazy, which I guess aligns with the gravitational pull effect, yeah, or the teen wolf, yeah. Of course, obviously the teen wolf. Yeah, and then there is also a rare psychiatric syndrome called clinical lycanthropy, which involves a delusional person that believes they can transform into a different type of animal, not specifically a werewolf, a wolf, but some kind of shape-shifting disorder. I'm not sure. It's listed as a real disorder. It's just very rare.
That's just like some kind of disillusionment. Like that seems like a subsection of like some kind of delusional mania or something that I'm probably not using the right word for.
Yeah.
But do you want to hear about a real werewolf while we're here?
A real werewolf?
Yeah, that actually happened.
You got one in your basement?
Right next to me. Not behind me like you though. No, this is a real guy. He was nicknamed the Werewolf of. It's Spanish, so it's 2 L's. So that would be it'd be Arez. It's Allariz. Allariz. So Alariz or Arez. Anyway, spend too much time on that. He's the Spain's first known serial killer. He killed 13 people.
Interesting.
And,
how did he kill? Go ahead.
He ravaged them. Like it looked like a beast attacked them. Like yeah. This is what got me is because this is all like legal. Like his defense, like when he got to court, is that he claimed that. Let me find what he actually said. His actual quote. Oh God, I should have. Oh, here it is. First time I transformed was in the mountain of Cusco. I came across 2 ferocious-looking wolves. I suddenly fell to the floor and began to feel convulsions. I rolled over 3 times, and a few seconds later, I was a wolf. I was out marauding with the other 2 for 5 days until I returned to my own body. The one you see before you today, Your Honor. The other 2 wolves came with me, who I thought were also wolves, changed into human form. They were from Valencia. One is called Antonio, and the other Don Gennaro. They too were cursed. We attacked and ate a number of people because we were hungry. So that's his defense. Like he's not guilty based on being a werewolf.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
He also ate the people, though. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they never really proved that, but yeah, then there's also theories because he sold soap, and they were thinking the soap was made out of the people's like fat and stuff. So. Yeah.
Wait, what year was this supposedly?
1854.
Ooh, interesting. Yeah. All right, so somewhat modern.
Yeah, like I mean, it's 100 and some years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But he was confessed to 13 murders in the trial, and then they judged him, but then he was acquitted of 4 of them. And this is what I thought was interesting, because forensically, those 4 deaths were found to have been committed by wolves, real wolves. But they're saying he was guilty of the rest. So does that mean that he was a wolf? because he's like, I mean, if they looked that similar that they were buying it at first, was he just really good at copying werewolves? Or maybe he's not lying.
Could be. Yeah, I mean, that seems pretty happenstance that like I guess he would have to stumble upon those bodies first, right?
Yeah, I mean, he was like a tour. Like he killed one person because they owed him, or he owed them money, and they came for it. So he killed them in his defense. I bet then he was like a tour guide, and he'd take people out and kill them, including children. But yeah, he wasn't very good. He sold their clothes and all that stuff. Like, so he got caught pretty quickly after he killed those people. I was trying to find. He had the best comeback though. I can't find that right now. Man, I looked on too many sites and I didn't have it find. But it basically, the judge said, like, if you're a werewolf, turn into a wolf right now, and we'll let you go. And he was like, funny thing is, the curse only lasts like 10 years, and that was up like a week ago, so I'm not a wolf anymore.
Yeah, and also, so the statute of limitations is
yeah.
you can't take me alive.
I just thought that was the best defense. Like, yeah, you just caught me. Like, I just turned back. I would love to, but 10 days ago, I was cured. That's the rules.
That's actually amazing.
And the other interesting thing, just after this, because he got sentenced to death, but the Queen of Spain actually commuted a sentence because there's she believed that he really was a werewolf and he wasn't like faking. So she had a therapist talk to him through hypnosis who said that he's cured lycanthropy before. So they worked with him until he died in prison to cure him.
Is that the only real werewolf you found?
I found some others, but they're like, that one's the only one that was interesting to me because it was legal, like a legal record. Like there's a whole court document, and the rest of them are just like, yeah, people were just dumb. Like there's one here where this guy who is like he was one of those like debt collectors, so everyone hated him, and he died. And there's a wolf running around his residence. Like after he died, so they thought he didn't die. Thought he faked his death and turned into a werewolf. But then they killed the wolf. But they then cut off the dog's muzzle, dressed it in human clothes, and placed a wig and a mask on his face so it resembled the guy. And then they hung the wolf up.
That's a lot of work to just trying to be passing this thing off as real.
I know. Like, see, totally was him. like see, a werewolf.
That's incredible.
Poor wolf's just like.
So his excuse was that he was cursed with it, right?
Yeah.
So there is only apparently 3 ways you could become a werewolf, which is being cursed by somebody. So can I just curse you right now? Do I have to have the power? I don't know. Do I need power?
Oh, you curse me a lot. I think I'd be a werewolf by now.
Oh, okay. But maybe I need the power of Grayskull to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't specify.
Yeah. Like, what is the curse?
You can be bit by a werewolf. Another werewolf bites you and
Yeah.
doesn't kill you, which is what I think we see most common in movies, right?
Yeah, that's the Hollywood way.
Or you could, of course, be born into it with genetics, a la Teen Wolf, right?
Well, so if your parent was cursed, does the curse pass through DNA then? Like, or is it like one that's bitten has a kid?
Once bitten, twice a werewolf.
Wolf. Yeah.
Well, okay. I can't remember how Teen Wolf plays out, but his whole lineage was werewolves, right? So you're saying like somewhere along that family line, somebody got cursed. Somebody did something.
Like maybe if you get cursed, it doesn't pass through your DNA since it's a magical curse. But if you're bit, that's like that's like a disease, right?
Yeah.
So that'd probably get passed down. Also, do, like werewolf mothers, like do they have like packs? Do they have like 6 kids? Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe. Well, so werewolves represent nature and primal instincts in man, whereas those bastards, the vampires, represent inhuman or man's lack or man's decay, right? Or lack thereof, because they are eternal. They live for eternity.
I always saw them as like cats. I mean, obviously dogs, but like vampires are very cat-like. Like they're just very like snotty and reserved, and they'll come knock your stuff off your table.
Well, so werewolves, because no matter which version you look at, they're wild and incapable of controlling whatever's happening around them. So whether it happens every day or for 10 days or 10 years or during a full moon, that they're loss of control. Whereas vampires are fully knowing what they're doing. At least our dumb perspective of vampires right now, which could change on our full vampire episode we do sometime in the future. The Greeks also believed that corpses of werewolves, if not destroyed, like burned or decapitated and put in different places, they would return to living as vampires in the form of wolves and hyenas.
What?
And that they would drink dead soldiers' blood. I was like, this is some crazy shit, Greeks.
So like hyena vampires?
Well, so remember, vampires can also turn into different things.
Yeah, it's not just bats. They can do all kinds. They can turn into wolves and stuff too.
Yeah, they can turn. I've played Castlevania.
Maybe vampires are werewolves. They're just a little more. They're like the Mensa werewolves. Like the Target versus Walmart kind of thing. Maybe they're the higher market.
Well, yeah. So in Eastern Europe, that is pretty much what they thought. Is either werewolves became vampires when they're killed and not properly disposed of, or the two creatures are the same thing, with variances, just like we have people have variances. But the first mention of conflict between these vampires and dogs is Dracula versus the Wolfman.
Yeah, which is Hollywood, right? Universal.
Yeah, Fur versus Fang, of course, as it were.
And the wolves are always the good guys in the movies, right? Like,
yeah, they're always protecting the people. But that's because, so they both feed, and this is where like basically probably their feud would come from, at least historically. Both of them, I mean, it's ecological reasons as to why, like who's on the top of the food chain, because there's three species: there's humans, there's werewolves, there's vampires. And two of those are the predators, and one of them is the prey. Of course, humans being the prey in that situation. And the issue there is they're all fighting for the same thing. So there's going to be stunted population between all the species because the two top predators can't feed enough,
right.
and which means they can't have populations and growth. And then the humans are just getting ravaged by all these animals. So either they're overlapping, and that's why they feud and hate each other because they're fighting for the same food, or I mean, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much the only other thing. Like, and it's possible that if they didn't operate at the same time, because they both kill at night, that they could coexist. But because they both kill at the same time, unless like the werewolves were feeding on the leftovers of what the vampires, if they drink the blood and the werewolves come and eat the corpse, then they might have like a symbiotic relationship, which makes sense. It is kind of weird because as far as I'm aware of, vampires only drink blood; they don't eat the flesh. So they could coexist, and so maybe there's just somebody who just needs to let them know, like, hey, yeah, you drink the blood and then you eat the flesh. Yeah.
Would meat? I mean, this is foreign to me as a vegan, but like, would meat still taste good if you took all the blood out of it? Because it needs blood.
I mean, I don't think you could take all the blood out of it, right? Like
I don't know.
Are you like wringing it like a towel, a wet towel? I don't think that I don't know. Vampires have always, in movies, like they like
they're always sloppy.
Yeah, they're very sloppy. We see this poked fun of in What We Do in the Shadows, both the movie and the show. Hitting the wrong vein and just blood going everywhere, absurdly. But yeah, so the paradox is that they can't coexist, so they must have to feud.
I think to get a little like back to our old like cinematic pretentious thing, I think it's narratively kind of like a class, like a metaphor for class. Like I think it's always been presented as like the proletariat versus the bourgeois kind of class struggle. Like you have like the vampires are always living in their mansions with their fancy clothes and have all this fancy stuff, and they're very 1%y, and the werewolves are always like every person, like the working person, and struggling for their piece of that pie and not being given it, and that causes like the French Revolution, basically.
Yeah, I think you're probably correct. I mean, that sounds. I mean, I don't know what other reason there would be, but well, I guess here's the question for you: are you team werewolf or vampire?
I don't want. I mean, how about team inclusion? Like everybody, we can talk about it. Sit down, talk about our differences, work it out. There's not an either or. Like you said, like there's plenty. Like this ecosystem could work together. There's no reason to fight. It's just tribalism. We don't need that. We've evolved past that.
This is an ancient feud that goes back centuries. Logic is thrown out of the way for war. And
I wonder that there is a lot there. I mean, not to make light of what's going on in Israel and Palestine, but like that whole centuries old background, or not even centuries now, but like hundreds of years old. That is centuries. But like since they gave Palestine or gave Israel that stuff and they're arguing over the land. And there's these two groups that hate each other for very, like, if you go back to when it began, should have been something that shouldn't be as large as it is and shouldn't be as violent and hate-filled as it is. But we all have these like tribal things where the other and the enemy and all that stuff. And I wonder if this whole phenomenon and story and general mythos of it kind of captures that feeling of humanity. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I mean, as I was saying, it all kind of felt connected, and then I'm reminding of the, gosh, is it a documentary? I can't remember. Anyways, there's a movie called Underworld. I'm not really sure if it's a doc
I think
or
that's
not.
A true story.
But I'm reminded of that storyline and just like how these two people are trying to bring logic to their ancient war, and it just nobody gives a fuck. They kind of war for war reasons, and sometimes that's what it is, I guess, right?
That's mainly what it is. I think there's like people profit from it, and vampires profited from this, and they don't want peace when it's profitable to propagate a war. Until Scott Speedman shows up and he's half vampire, half werewolf.
Yeah,
and everything's fine. Happy ending.
Everything is fine. You're right. Well, yeah, that's all I got on the feud. It's not as crazy, but I do like the answer of, hey, these guys are eating the same food, man, and they can't coexist here. So maybe they do exist.
It would be like if wolves and tigers lived in the same area. Like it just wouldn't be like you can't have two apex predators. Is that what kind of what they're saying?
Yeah, pretty much is what they're saying. You can't have two.
Yeah. Like you can't have two tops of the food chain.
Right.
Yeah, that's science. I like the moon.
Well, is there any notable werewolf films outside of like American Werewolf in London? I think is everyone's like top bitch, right?
Which sucks because John Landis, right? Like, I hate that shitty people like tinge their movies that should be great. That's a fact we all have to live with, and I hate it.
Well, we have to always preface that by saying movies aren't made by one person.
I know, but like I don't even think like I'm not even saying like boycott that movie because like lots of people pour their heart into that stuff. But and this is just my personality. But when I see movies made by shitty people, there's like this little part of my brain that can't fully get into the story because it's just like, remember this person that made it shitty? Like it just dances through my mind and it kind of ruins it a little bit for me. So that sucks for me, but that's my issue. Anyway, trying to think of like great horror.
Well, I can list a couple of them off for you. So of course we have the original Universal, The Wolfman, which I like more as an adult than I did as a kid. As a kid, it was a little like slow compared to the other ones, but I do like it. I mean, it was like all those films. It's incredibly atmospheric. And
there's one that we never could like. I want to remember this movie, so maybe our listeners can help us out. It came out just like 4 or 5 years ago. It was like a Nordic movie, like Norway or somewhere in there. And it was this little this teenage girl.
You're talking about What We've Become?
Is that what it's called?
Pretty sure that's what that is.
Because last time we talked about it, neither one of us could remember the title.
She's not.
Yeah, that's what it is. That movie is so great, and I think that's like adjacent to Werewolf enough that it should be included in this.
Is that the movie you're thinking of? It's like kind of a. I think that's the one I'm thinking of. There's two movies that relatively at the same time.
No, this isn't it. No.
Okay. The other one is
This is not it. Like, it's the one where she like works on a fishing boat and like she like basically.
I thought
it's
I thought I told you what this was.
And we never could
It's-
remember it. So if anybody
it's,
remember, she works on like a fishing boat, and basically it's analogous. Like she's becoming a woman basically, and she's also becoming this like beast. And it's a fantastic movie, and I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah, I'm gonna figure it out right now because
I was sent the screener.
I showed the fucking movie.
Yeah. Well, you show a lot of movies. You
That's
can't remember
true.
them all.
I do show. But yeah, it is a terrific movie. That's just it is kind of like it's kind of like Ginger Snaps with one woman
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
more seriously done, I would say.
Yeah, it's like the serious version.
Oh, you
of
know what?
that.
It's not. I thought it was IFC Films. It's not IFC. I do believe that was a Weinstein film.
I think I found it.
What is
Yeah,
it?
when animals dream.
Yeah, When Animals Dream.
That is a fantastic movie. Like that's on one of my tops.
2014. It's very good from what I remember.
And
got
that's I don't know if she's like technically a werewolf, but she becomes like this beast. I think it counts.
Yeah, it's close enough. Like it's not. It's werewolf adjacent at the very least.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the one that always comes to my mind, and I could never remember the title. But Google remembered it when I remembered that it was Norwegian. I looked up Norwegian werewolf. movie. Yeah.
I like. Of course, I think the Monster Squad has a good werewolf in it, but it's not a movie about a werewolf. The werewolf genre isn't really.
It's pretty weak.
Pretty thin, I would say. Yeah. Like, there's certainly I'm looking at a lot of werewolf movies, and a lot of them I've seen or tried to watch, and they're hard, they're tough to do. I did like The Wolf of Snow Hollow, which came out last year.
Yeah.
Did you see it?
Yeah. No, I haven't seen that yet, but I like that Jim Cummings or whatever. I like him.
Yeah.
So I need to give it a shot. And let's not forget, like, I actually really enjoyed that Late Phases, I think it was called, written by our own Eric Stolz, who helped with the stylist. So
yeah,
a little connection there. I thought that was great.
But I mean, maybe, there's got to be movies out there that are werewolf that we've not seen. I've seen almost all of these. I feel like I've watched.
I just think of like big ones like Howling, American Werewolf, and Silver Bullet. I guess What We Do in the Shadows, to a point that they're swearwolves. So.
I mean, yeah. I mean, there's a really good one of the best sequences I think is in Trick or Treat.
Yeah, that's true.
That
don't forget Jack Nicholson's Wolf.
Yeah, and Cursed.
Oh yeah, Wes Craven. I haven't gone back to that. I don't remember it was bad. But.
Apparently, I was listening to Kevin Williamson do a podcast not too long ago, and he talked about it, and he's like, there is a movie that's pretty good. They basically reshot the movie twice.
Oh.
Which is just bananas, because I'm pretty sure there's a fully different cast the second time.
Yeah, there's never. I don't think that's ever worked out really well.
No,
they just do that much reshoots.
Yeah, but yeah. So let's make a werewolf movie and get that figured out. That's all I got on werewolves. They're kind of they're just humans turned into dogs, and while that's pretty fun, it's not enough to have an encyclopedia about. I don't think.
I find it like sometimes they're all dog, right? And sometimes, like in Hollywood, they turn into like the big beasties.
Mm-hmm.
Like, which version do you prefer?
I think Dog Soldiers is pretty good. I was just remembering that movie.
Yeah.
What
Those
movie
are beasties.
do I like? I think I like the bigger ones.
I think I'm with you there. Like, because
when they become dogs, it's kind of silly. Like they get. It doesn't make sense that they shrink. They get tinier.
Yeah.
Well,
sometimes they're really big dogs, like the dire wolf kind of thing. But
did you say big dog?
Big dog.
Big dog.
But yeah, I think that goes back at least to when I grew up, like when like in the 80s, when creature features were the Stan Winstons and stuff, where you have these incredible designs that are just all latex and special effects and stuff. I have a lot of nostalgia about that. So when you get a good like creature design or creature transformation like that on screen, that's all tactile like that, chef's kiss. American Werewolf is one of the best at that. Like the whole transformation scene. It's just so much fun to somehow to watch, like when he becomes a werewolf.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing better. I think we all love werewolf sequences, and that's mostly what we look for in a werewolf film. There's a new movie that just came out. Maybe we'll touch upon this in the future, called Werewolves Within. That does a pretty good transformation for their low budget, but I mean, honestly, that's why I love the transformation in Trick or Treat, because when they're transforming, she like takes her fucking skin off, and like takes off like a t-shirt. I actually love it. It's more like a beast in human clothes, which is kind of the opposite of what we usually see, which is a human.
Did we come up with a theory on one of our older podcasts or did I hear this somewhere? I don't want to steal someone's thought, but like that werewolves are actually, or Sasquatches are actually werewolves, and that's why we never find them, because they're only around for a little while.
I like that. Are they shapeshifters? Okay, listen, we can't talk about Sasquatch because there's some holes. I would love to do a Sasquatch episode though, because there's some fun shit we can get into if you're into it.
Oh, I love like Sasquatch horror, which again is not much there, but the ones that are there that are great and are super great. So,
well, all right. Well, I think that's it for the podcast. Is there anything else you want to chat about today?
No, I did want to. We did start off with the trailer. I don't think we should watch this one, but I want to just put it out in the universe to everyone how excited I am for the Candyman, the new Candyman by Neil Costi.
Yeah.
It looks so great. I'm so excited for it.
Same. Yeah, it looks like an horror is on big and small levels continuing to show us that it's maybe the best it's ever been right now. It's the most popular it's maybe ever been right now.
Yeah.
Maybe, or at least not since the 80s. So we're in a good time.
It's a very good time. Like there's not that there wasn't back then, but like the level of talent of people making horror movies right now is just awe-inspiring to me. Like I mean. It's a technique we invented 200 years ago now, so it makes sense that we're getting better as filmmakers and creators. But the amount of talent out there right now is insane. I'm excited to be around to watch it. It's incredible.
I agree. Well, the hour may be over, Eric, but the clock keeps ticking.
It does.
We will be back next week with another episode or maybe the week after. We'll see. We're going to try to keep these up as best we can, but at least you'll get us bi-weekly, and that's just us saying it. So if we miss a week or whatever happens. You can find us at nightmarehourpod@gmail.com. You can get it to us on all the social media with Nightmare Hour. So let us know your favorite werewolf films, or if we fucked up any of this mythology, but I don't think so. There's not a lot there.
Well, it's a myth. We can make it up. We can adjust.
That's true. We can make our own shit up. All right. We did it right.
We did good. Yeah. This is the real version. Anything you heard here is now official werewolf lore.
Is now fact. All right. Well, until next time, I'm Adam.
I'm Eric. Are we doing that again?
No, I don't know.
Okay.
I already did my sign off.
All right.
Goodbye.
I don't have a sign off. Bye.